All right, so this is business and financial advice for my younger self. I'm 25 right now. What I'm going to talk about, I wish I could tell my probably 19 and a half, 20-year-old self once I had left community college. So I'm just freeballing this. I haven't taken any notes, but there's a few things that already come to mind. So first one is actually kind of the opposite of financial advice. It's spend more. From about 18 to 23 and a half, there was a big shift at one point. I was so ridiculously cheap. It was insane. At one point, my food budget was $20 per week. I was dumpster diving, although that's an entirely different conversation. I didn't have a job. I was basically solely focused on how can I spend as little as humanly possible. But not only that, the effort that was required for me to spend that little, if that was invested in gaining skills or actually just getting a minimum wage job, I would have had so much more money to then spend on, improving my quality of life, improving the quality of my food. And that was a big shift I had right around 23 and a half. I'd gone through a heartbreak that was probably very minorly related to how cheap I was. But in retrospect, that was definitely part of it. There was a lot of issues within the relationship that some of them were financially driven. I was just that cheap, not willing to spend anything on myself, let alone someone else, right? And after that, and some reflection, as well as some dietary changes, my mind kind of shifted, going from veganism to a more animal-based diet. And I was just so cheap. So that's advice number one, is focus on how you can make more money so you don't have to be as cheap. It's like Alex Hormozy spends, $1,000 on dinner, but to him that's only 0.001% of his net worth. For me, I was spending more than 0.001%. So just focus on making more money as opposed to spending less, because spending less can only lead to spending zero, but making more has an infinite upside. So that's advice number one. Advice number two, although I did execute on this kind of well, but by accident, is learn a valuable skill. So I've been learning video editing since I was about 20, and it kind of just happened by accident. I was making smoothie videos. I got better and better and better at them until I got really, really good at training videos, coaching videos. And it wasn't really an intentional act, but there's definitely other things I could have decided to develop a skill in. So coaching, personal training. At one point, I tried to be a personal trainer. It kind of fell flat on its face for reasons that I'll get into. But advice I'd tell my 19, 20-year-old self is find a skill that you enjoy and get stupid good at it. And for me, that's video editing now, specifically short form video editing. I'm fast at it. I'm really good at it. I have an eye for the branding and the styling of all of it. And I'm insanely grateful for 18-year-old, 19-year-old me deciding to make smoothie videos, because otherwise I wouldn't gone on this path of getting really good at video editing and now making that an actual successful business. Next piece of advice is don't focus so much on the numbers. How much money can I make from this? What's my hourly rate? How many packages can I create to make more money? That's important down the line. Focus on how many people you can help. And I think this statement would have triggered me the most, because again, being so cheap, I was so okay, how much can I make per hour? How much can I make per amount of effort? And what I've come to realize now, it's the minute numbers don't really matter. If a client's paying me $1,000 a month or $1,800 a month, is that number really going to matter in 6 months, in 2 months, in 1 month? Is it going to have a massive impact on my life, but also my growth in the business? No, right? I was so focused on, when I was trying personal training, first I did $60 for an hour, but I didn't account for driving times. Then I bumped it up to 80. It was just all this focus on these little numbers. And if at the time I had just focused on how can I get 10 clients and give them life-changing results, even if it was a quarter what I should be getting paid for what they're getting, right? Who cares? It doesn't matter. If you're going down a salary 9 to 5 job, okay, yeah, sure, try to extract as much. I'm just getting murdered by mosquitoes, so I'm itching. try to, extract as much as you can from the salary. But if you're going down an entrepreneurial route, it does not matter if you make 10 grand or 25 grand in your first year. If needing to go from 10 to 25 is going to sacrifice your ability to help more people and gain more experience, I would not do it. Help as many people as you possibly can. And you see that happen time and time again with Ben Patrick, with Justin Mucci, with Brendan Backstrom, with Liam Howe, Bulletproof Baller. These guys focused on helping as many people as they could, and then products were developed on top of that. Same Matthew Scar Performance. Like, they helped thousands and thousands of people for free, and then a product was developed on top of that. If they were hyper focused on, like, how can I make like 3 training packages for 100 and 200 and 500 a month and this and that, it would have taken away from their ability to just help people in the most personal sense they know, or in the most direct sense they know, which is through social media or through in person. So that would be another piece of advice. Last piece of advice would probably be patience. And this is a pretty broad one, but when I was 21 again there, me and my friend group, we started a stonks club, or a stock trading club, and we thought we were going to get rich so quick. We were analyzing the stock market, saying, oh, this is going to go up 3%. We're going to, use, what's it called? Option calls, puts, whatever it was, to we're going to make $800 overnight. Like, this is going to be insane. And I ended up making all time probably actually a couple $1,000s. But of course the vision was to make tens, if not hundreds of thousands. And we were just trying all these get rich quick schemes. Essentially, we wouldn't have admitted that they were get rich quick schemes. But for example, I can't tell you how many times I've Googled or YouTube searched how to make passive income. I had this idea in my head that certain business models, you work hard for 3 to 6 months and then it's done. And then you're just raking in money. And sure, those can exist, right? There's drop shipping. There's all these other ones these days, like SaaS, social media agencies, which is basically what I'm doing. But the reality is, like, nothing that's truly going to last is going to be passive. Like, it doesn't exist. And I was convinced of it, but it doesn't exist where you can just like work hard for 3 to 6 months and then you have a source of income that's bringing in 5 to 10K indefinitely. It just does not exist. I wasted so much time thinking that there's a way for me to just make money passively. I can just put effort and it's done. It does not exist. If you look at any of the most successful business, entrepreneur, whatever you want to call it, they're working their ass off for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. The key is find something, in my opinion, that actually lights you up, or what the business provides you, which tends to be money, then can light you up in other areas of life. For me, that's buying land, starting a family, building furniture, having my own food and water supply, things like that. So patience. Patience is huge, not just for making money, but for training, for learning languages, for juggling, whatever it is. And any last pieces of advice? Not so much advice, but more of maybe advice. At the Mexico event I was just at, a question was posed, or an idea was posed, of if you want to find where your mental blockages or blocks are, think of the most ridiculous goal. So for me, a pretty ridiculous goal right now, I don't know if I should call it a goal or if it's more of just a test for this theory, is $1 million a month. Now, what resistance comes up there? I think of all the employees I'd have to manage. I think of how stressed I might be. I think of, like, can I really find, 500 clients that can pay me $2,000 a month? Like, is that even possible? Do 500 people exist? These are the doubts that come up for me personally, which reveals to me where I need to work on. So, stress management. I feel stressed from the idea of making that much money. People management, employee management, which I already have 2 employees. Wow, getting killed. 2 employees. And I have a bit of a scarcity mindset still when it comes to can I find 500 people that can pay me $2,000 a month? The answer to that's yes, 100%. I mean, there's tens of thousands of online personal trainers that need help. So, can I find 500 of them that can pay me $2,000? Absolutely. So, yeah, asking my 18, 20-year-old self, like, what's the biggest dream you can think of? I probably would have said something way smaller. I probably would have said, like, $25K a month. And the resistance then would be like, but, how am I going to get there so quickly? Like, but regular jobs only pay, like $8,000 a month or $6,000 a month. I would still be very much stuck in this is the way things are, if that makes sense. I think last piece of advice, there's probably more, is Justin's been telling me a lot from the Bible. I think it's out of Galatians. It's what you reap what you sow, or what you forget, reap what you sow, something like that. And I think what that means is what you give attention grows. And the examples that come to mind for me is I've always told myself that I'm really good at cooking. I'm really good at math and science and physics, chemistry. And I'm pretty good at language learning. And what I'm really bad at is spelling in English, really bad at history, really bad at technology except for video editing. And yeah. And what I've realized recently is, like, I'm not doing myself any favors saying that. Like, I'm hurting myself every single time that I say that. Maybe not with the good stuff. I think when I reconvince myself that I'm really good at math or I'm really good at cooking, I get better at cooking. And with that logic in place, every time I tell myself that I'm really bad at spelling or U.S. history or history in general, I'm reinforcing that idea. And that has so much power. And I probably wouldn't have believed that at 18 and 20. I was atheist. I would have been like, that's so stupid. Like, that's not how it works, even though atheists probably agree. And I was just stupid. But anything I give attention, and this has been true for me in relationships and making money, in friendships, in travel, in social interactions, in training. Like, I tell myself that my arms are small, and objectively they are. But I keep telling myself that I have, like, a genetic issue or whatever it is, and it's not helping. Even if it's true, like, by telling myself that I have a genetic thing, it's hurting every single time. And I've heard this true with people with their gut issues. There's a guy, Matt, what's his name? I forget, the Light Diet guy, if you want to look him up. And he's talked about this when he was, like, around my age or maybe a bit younger. He was so convinced that he had this, like, debilitating gut issue. And objectively, he did have a gut issue. But he almost began identifying by the idea that he had a gut issue, which is not good. Like, you're just screwing yourself up, where now, even if you're doing the right protocol to fix your gut, you're telling yourself every day and every night, I have a gut issue. I have a gut issue. I have a gut issue. So that's the last piece of advice. Again, there's probably loads more, but just wanted to get this out there and reflect back on it. In a couple of years, once I'm making that 50 to 100K a month, not even a couple of years, 1 year, we'll be there. It's in the cards. Stay locked. Hold the faith. Faith over fear. That would be a big one. Faith over fear. Faith and fear both require you to believe in something that doesn't yet exist. So you might as well have faith.